Most people think of jaw tension as a local problem. Tight jaw, clenching, TMJ, discomfort, so naturally we go straight to the jaw. And yes, that matters. The jaw often needs direct attention, but it's not the whole story. In my work with gentle myofascial release, I consistently see something deeper going on, quite literally. There's a fascial line in the body called the deep front line. It's a continuous pathway of connective tissue that runs from the jaw, down through the throat, into the diaphragm, and all the way into the hips and pelvic floor. So when there's restriction in one part of that fascial line, it can create tension elsewhere in the body. Let's take the jaw. If you're someone who clenches or holds tension there, there's a good chance you are dealing with subtle restriction in your breathing. Why? Because the jaw and the diaphragm are neurologically and fascially connected. When the jaw is tight, the body often shifts into a more guarded, protective state. Breathing becomes shallower, the diaphragm doesn't move as freely. And over time, that restricted breathing pattern feeds tension back up into the neck and jaw. It becomes a loop. Now let's go a step further. The diaphragm doesn't just connect upward, it also connects downward into the hips and pelvic floor. So if the diaphragm is restricted, the hips often reflect that. I'll see people with chronic hip tightness, limited mobility, or a sense of holding in the pelvis. And when we start to free up the breath and the diaphragm, the hips begin to change without even working directly on them. Same thing in reverse. If the hips are braced or compressed, whether from sitting a lot, old injuries, or just how someone moves through life, that tension can travel upward, limiting the diaphragm and eventually showing up as jaw tension. So when someone comes in with jaw pain, I'm not just looking at the jaw. I'm asking, how are they breathing? What's happening in the diaphragm? What's the quality of movement and tension in the hips? Because if we only treat the symptom, just the jaw, we might get some relief, but if we address the whole line, the change tends to be deeper and longer lasting. This is where gentle myofascial release is different. We're not forcing change. We're not chasing symptoms. We're observing and listening to the body and working with these connections, allowing the system to unwind as a whole. Sometimes that means working at the diaphragm and watching the jaw soften. Sometimes it means addressing the hips and seeing breathing improve almost immediately. And of course, I work directly with the jaw, but in a way that acknowledges it's part of a bigger conversation happening in the body. If you're dealing with jaw tension, clenching, or TMJ issues, it's worth considering. What else might be contributing? Because your body is not a collection of separate parts. It's an interconnected system. And when you start to treat it that way, things can change in ways that feel surprisingly effortless. That's the goal. Not just relief in one area, but a shift in the whole system.